Yes. I just got home and I got this in the mail. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up and talk about it today. I'm very excited for this. Thank you, a huge thank you to Nick Biantek for sending this out to me. He literally has made like almost no money on this, even though he sold a couple hundred of them. So I really want to say a huge thank you to him for sending this to me to review. So we're gonna try and get this out, and I'm gonna talk about what my thoughts of it are, my first impressions, how it feels, and we'll show you how it works on the camera. And I'll also talk about a bunch of kind of Q&A type stuff, things that I've seen people asking about in the Facebook group, for example. So we'll get all of that information into this video, so we'll have it all in one place for anybody who is maybe interested in getting one of these. So if you don't know what this is a custom-made wooden grip with some wheels and dials and a record button built into it, and it will connect to your camera through the link port. And right now it works with the E2 family from Zcam, all of them as far as I believe, including the upcoming flagship models. But in the future, they will update this for compatibility with a wide range of cameras that have that connection available. And again, I'll put the information on screen right now for which cameras it will be available for in the future. Up until now, I've been using this handle from SmallRig, and I love the feeling of this wood handle. It just has a really nice feel in my hand. It feels like it was made for my hand, I think is what I said when I reviewed this handle in particular. So I'm really hoping that this feels as good or better, plus it will have the added benefit of being able to control my camera, which is amazing for run and gun shooting. Now, yes, this one from Nick Biantek from River Labs, I think is how it's pronounced, is expensive, but that doesn't mean it's not a good value. So I know I've seen a lot of people in the Facebook group talking about the price of this, and I just want to get it out there that if you don't need it, you don't need it. That's fine. It's not for everybody, but for people who do need it, the price is expensive, but it is a great value. So if you look at other handles like this one, for example, from SmallRig, this doesn't have anything built into it, and it's mass produced, and it's still almost $100. So there are a lot of improvements in this. It was custom designed from the ground up. I mean, everything. He adjusted and tested and retested and readjusted the position of the dials within millimeters. I mean, he got the grip shape just right, and granted, everybody's different. It should be a really nice feeling handle. Plus, he tested all kinds of different materials, all kinds of different manufacturing processes and everything, and he came to this final product, and all of that was pretty much out of pocket for him. He made almost no money, like I said, so the value of something like this is definitely not in question. Anyway, blah blah blah, let's get into the box and get this started. There we go. All right. Now this here is a removable and stretchy cable. That's the technical term, stretchy cable. And like I said, this will go into the link port on your camera. Right now for the E2, it's the 2.5 millimeter, I believe, socket on the back of the camera. And it extends, its shortest length is probably about maybe under a foot, and the longest length, you could stretch it quite a bit, maybe 3 times that length. Fairly comfortably. This is a very good feeling cable. Again, it feels like a high quality cable, something that shouldn't wear out, at least not within any short amount of time. Then we got the main guy here, the handle, and I am very, very excited to get my hands on this. And oh, that is surprisingly good feeling. It feels like a really secure fit, not only comfortable, but like this part here that comes out over the back of your hand near your thumb feels like it will be able to feel really secure in my hand. Like I'm not gonna slip or struggle to grip the camera at all, even if it's a little bit heavy. And my thumb fits right around this part here very, very comfortably and securely. The position and the depth of these grooves on the front feel really, really good as well. If you have long fingers, your fingers might come around and touch the rosette part here on the inside, but I don't think that's a big deal. The wood is hand finished and hand waxed. I mean, the beauty of this is really, really nice. I actually really love the color of this wood, which is a little bit darker, actually not darker, a little more natural looking than the SmallRig version. The SmallRig version looks like it was mass produced when you put it next to this, which feels a lot more custom and handmade. Like you can just see the difference when you put them side by side. The SmallRig also has a little bit more of a slippery finish, I guess you could say. I mean, it's not bad at all. I've loved using it, but this does feel a little bit more like wood. And I mean that in a good way, of course. The grip shape looks pretty similar. I believe the part where your thumb will sit is cut away a little bit more on this new handle compared to the SmallRig version. And I think that's good. Like I said, it gives you a little bit more security when you're holding it, whereas the SmallRig handle doesn't really feel secure around my thumb right here. It feels good, but it doesn't necessarily feel secure. Whereas this handle does feel like a much more secure and tight fit when I grab it. Like it feels like I'm holding something really, really securely. I've said secure like 5 times now. Anyway, in terms of the positions of the buttons and the dials on here, the first one on the back here is right under where your thumb sits, and it for me sits under right where my knuckle is, which means that because of the bend of my finger, I can hold this pretty tightly and I'm still not pushing or turning that. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but it is also very easy to just bend my knuckle right there and push it when I need to, or to make adjustments when I need to. I feel like this is probably the best he could have done with the position of this rear knob without it being out of the way, but also without it being too much in the way. So I think it's a good balance in terms of position. Nice solid clicks, I guess you could say. It clicks into place. Maybe they could be a little bit more clicky, but not too much more. This is pretty close to just right in terms of individual clicks that you can feel as you turn the wheel. You can also push it, and like I said, when you bend your knuckle, that's going to be just perfect for pushing it. So we'll check out the functionality of that when we get it on the camera in just a minute. This front dial is actually a little far back. You do have to stretch your wrist a little bit to bend your arm into a way that you can touch this, but it's not completely out of reach. I wouldn't have to let this go or really loosen my grip all that much. You just have to maybe bend your finger back a little bit to get that. However, again, I think if you put it in any more of a place, I'd be much more likely to accidentally hit that with my front finger compared to where my thumb is. And the record button too, it feels about right. I can rest my finger right in front of it when I'm just holding it, and then easily move over and push that. But it is enough out of the way, at least for me, that that's not where my finger would naturally land. So I don't have to worry about just, I want to put my finger there and accidentally start or stop recording. I think he did a pretty good job. Like I said, he adjusted, I know, in millimeters, the position of these knobs and dials and everything. And I think he did a pretty good job. Obviously, everybody's hand is going to be different, but for me, this feels pretty good. Once I get using this for a while, I will update this video in the video description if anything comes up that I find to be annoying, or that could be improved, or that could be done differently. So if you watch this in the future, then do check the video description, because if anything changes, I will update it down there. Anyway, the button itself pushes deep. It's not like you have to push it too much, but you don't accidentally push it too easily. It feels like that's something that I would very deliberately push when I want to start and stop recording. Again, babble. Let's get it on the camera and I'll show you exactly what this can do when it's connected. So like I said, this connects with a rosette, and you do have that adjustment there. You can loosen it and tighten it to make adjustments while you are holding it. He does also make a connection that you can screw right directly onto the camera if you're not using a cage, so that way you can get this thing closer to the body. Or if you're using something like the tilt-a-cage, it has the rosette built in. That should work with that, no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the NATO rosette adapter from this small rig handle, and I'm going to place it onto there. By the way, as you can see, the placement of the rosette on this new grip is a little bit higher than on the small rig grip. So if you are using it on something like the tilt-a-cage, which does have that rosette connection down a little bit low, then the handle itself will sit a little bit lower on the body. So for me, I think having something like this adjustable NATO adapter is going to work a lot better. It will be a little bit further away from the body of the camera, but if you want to get it really in close, then of course you could use the other adapter that screws right into the Zcam body. Also, before I get this onto the camera, you can see down just below this rosette, there's a little 2.5mm jack where we're going to plug in this cable, and next to that there is a USB port, and this is where you're going to directly connect it to Android cameras in the future, hopefully the near future when the Android app is released. So you can do firmware upgrades, you can customize the function of these buttons and dials. That's not released yet, so when it is, hopefully I'll be able to show you exactly how that works, but this is where you would do that. Alright, so these dials have two functions. When you click them, it switches between the two functions. This rear dial's main function is shutter speed. Now I have mine set to shutter angle right now, so the same as with like the port keys monitor, when you have it set to shutter angle, the shutter adjustment doesn't actually do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to shutter speed, so that way I can show you how that works. Alright, so now you can see my shutter speed here up on screen. I'm recording my screen right now just so you can see these settings. If it's at 1/50th and I pull this back, it goes down and down and down, and as I scroll up, it increases the shutter speed. So that's pretty straightforward. If I click it, it will switch over to ISO, and you can see now that it will raise or lower my ISO. So these are not necessarily the most useful functions, especially shutter speed. I always keep it in 180 degrees shutter, basically, and I'm not adjusting that often. So when the app comes out, you will be able to reprogram what these buttons actually do, and that's something that I definitely will want to do. So if anybody wants to send me an Android phone, I'd be really happy because I don't actually have one. Anyway, clicking it will send it back to the shutter speed. But actually, now that I think of it, having my shutter set to shutter angle so that way this wheel doesn't do anything might be a good thing, because that means that it's basically inactive and I don't have to worry about accidentally messing this up. And then just click it to adjust ISO, click it back to basically lock it, because the shutter angle is not going to be changed when it's set in shutter angle. So that actually might be okay for me. The front wheel can actually be clicked, but at the moment, even if you click it, it doesn't change the function. It controls your aperture. So that's, something that will be useful in a run and gun type setup. And I believe in the future, with the flagship models that have the END, electronic ND in that mount, this will also be able to control the END. And again, when you reprogram it, you can set it up exactly how you need for your type of shooting. Next up is, of course, the record button. As you can see, when I press it, it records. When I press it again, it stops. Yep, it feels really good. Like the point where it starts and stops recording is like a really, really physically good position, like a good amount of being pushed in. It feels like you're actually pushing it when it starts, and it feels like you're actually pushing it, so you don't have to really wonder, did I push it hard enough or did I not push it hard enough? So like I said, I've been using that small rig handle, and I've really just been dying to get this, because it's just going to make my way of shooting in most situations just so much faster and easier. And this is just going to make it a lot quicker and easier and more natural, more like a typical camera type setup from what most people have gotten used to. Again, I'm not going to argue value here. If you think this is a good value, then it's because you've researched this type of thing and you know that a lot of the other handles in the market are going to cost just as much or more if they're in this style. Anyway, now for just a little Q&A. Like I said, those topics that I've seen a lot of people asking about, I want to get them all together here in one place. So if you're looking for answers, hopefully this can give it to you, at least at this point in time. Of course, things will be updated in the future, but as much as possible, I will talk about that as well. So like I said, right now, this does support the entire Zcam E2 family, the E2C, E2G, the E2, and the upcoming S6, F6, and F8 models. As far as I know, from what I've heard from Zcam and also from Nick, this does work for all of those cameras. As far as other cameras, it should soon be compatible with pretty much any link compatible camera, including these that I put up on screen right now. All future firmware updates will be free for all Clutch owners, so if you want to buy it now but you're worried about those future updates, don't worry. Like I said, there's a USB port on the handle, and those updates will be free for anybody who has one. There will not be any iPhone app, which for me is a little bit of a downer, but if you have an Android phone or you have access to one, you can connect it directly by USB-C and update just like that. The current material that it's made of is black walnut, and it's hand finished and hand waxed, and it is really nice. But there will, from now on, be some other options available at different prices. They will have a zebra wood and also a multi-jet printed, more of a dark gray option. And again, if you check on the website, they will have more information about those, including the price that they're available for. And finally, like I said, the functions of these dials and buttons will be able to be updated or customized according to how you want to shoot in the future when that software for the Android is available. And one of those options that's included is to adjust the END in new upcoming flagship models. So if you want to grab one of these for yourself or see more details like exactly what's going on at whatever current time you're watching this video, please do check out the link in the video description. And if you have any other questions that maybe you want to ask directly to me, then feel free to ask me anything you want down in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Also remember that in the future, if I have any major updates about my experience with this handle, problems or things that I like about it, I will add that in the video description, so keep an eye out. Even in the future, if you've watched this video once, please feel free to come back and check up on how things are going. As always, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you like it, share it with your friends, and do check this out because I think this is definitely one of the best accessories that you can have for the Zcam E2 family.